Welcome everyone back to the channel. In this video I'm going to bring you a 1 month or 1,000 mile review of a 2020 Subaru WRX Limited. I know this is a little untraditional from what kind of videos I do on here, but I kind of want to branch out and I want to do more variety of videos. I've owned this 2020 Subaru WRX for about a month, and this is a vehicle I purchased for myself, so this will be a little different than most reviews out there where they literally just loan the vehicle for a day or a week and drive it around. So this will give you a little better idea of what it's like to own one for a month. That being said, we are a Subaru family. My wife drives the Subaru Ascent. I had a Subaru Forester in the past, so this, while maybe a little biased towards the vehicle, I'm going to go over some bad things about it also, and it gives me a better idea of their whole kind of line of platform. I did shop some other vehicles to purchase instead of the WRX, so I'll go into that a little bit. This is again just a 1,000 mile review of the vehicle. I'm going to go over some of the good things, the average things, and then go over a few bad things, which every vehicle has its negatives out there. With that being said, let's jump in. I'm going to try to get you some shots of the vehicle too, just so you can get a good idea of it. So the first thing I really liked about the vehicle is I like the way it looks. I think that's a plus. It is sporty without being too childish. So it's not, I did look at the Honda Civic Type R, which I think is an excellent vehicle, probably a little better than the WRX, but it was just, one, it cost more, and two, it was just too out there for me. So that's one of the good things. I think the whole outside of the car looks good. I like the wide body stance. It looks aggressive without being too kind of showy or in your face. The other good thing about the vehicles is it's very practical. You have a lot of interior space. It's 4-door, all-wheel drive. It's got a decent sized trunk. Gets decent gas mileage. So from going point A to point B, it's a very good, well-balanced vehicle for that. It's fairly affordable. That's another good thing about it. You can get this under $30,000 fairly easily. Some of them go 36, 37 if you get down to the base model. But even for the higher end, this is a limited that I bought. You can get it under $30,000 if you really try and shop around. Another good thing about the vehicles, it's fun. It's a fun vehicle to drive. It's a turbocharged 4-cylinder. It is their 2.0 Boxer turbocharged 4-cylinder that they've used for decades. They have redesigned it since then. I think 2015 was when they introduced it. But it's fun. The turbo really kicks in at a lower RPM, so you got torque down low. So driving back and forth to work and just around town is a whole lot more enjoyable. I did test drive an STI along with this, and that was just way too aggressive, way too much for what my needs are. Another good thing about these vehicles, they have really good resale value. My Forester held its resale value fairly well. They do limit production, so they don't produce a ton of vehicles. You don't see a lot sitting on the lot. This is the World Rally Blue Limited, which took me a little while to find. I had to wait for it to come in and then go purchase it. I couldn't just go pick it up that day. They didn't have any of those in stock, but they had some coming in. It's easy to work on. If you can look here at the engine bay, the oil filter's right at the top. You can see the bottom of the shop floor, which is really rare in these type of vehicles. And it has really good aftermarket support. So if you're looking to, do a brake upgrade down the line, you can do that if you want to get, tires and rims, because this has summer sport tires on there. That's another thing that you have a ton of options on. I don't really plan on modding it. I may get a muffler delete and, maybe a cold air intake, upgrade that down the road once the warranty expires, but there's tons of aftermarket support for this vehicle. Another good thing is that it has push to start, so it does have push to start, and it also has LED headlights, which is a good plus. If you've ever had their steering responsive LED headlights or seen them before, it's a game changer, especially if you're on a lot of countryside roads. It's just, that's the way to go. It'd be hard for me to go without an LED standard headlight nowadays. So those are the big things. Again, all-wheel drive, practicality, fun to drive, doesn't cost too much, gets decent fuel mileage. Those are the big things that played a role in my purchase. Again, I looked at the Honda Civic Type R, I looked at the Honda Civic Si, I looked at the Golf GTI, and this was all-wheel drive and fit my needs. The other vehicles may have been a little better in some fronts, but this fit my needs for just general, we'll be driving this more around town, back and forth to work. The Ascent will be more for our vacations or a long-term vehicle. One of the average things about this is the brakes. You can get the premium with the sport package and get the Brembo brakes. I believe they're from the older STIs. But I just have the standard brakes on this thing. They're good, but they're not great. Like I said, I test drove the STI, and those brakes are really good compared to these standard stock brakes. They will stop, they're decent, but down the line I probably will, if I keep this way past the warranty, I may look to do some type of brake upgrade. That's the only thing about really the big drivetrain thing was that the brakes, I wasn't super impressed with them. They still were good, adequate. 2 pistons in the front, 1 piston in the rear, but they weren't stellar. Thing is, shifting from first to second and the rev hang, it takes a little bit of getting used to. Yes, they have fixed a lot of the rev hang compared to some of the older ones, but the stock tune, especially from first to second, it's really hard to drive smoothly from first to second. Now all the other gears are great, no issues, but it does take a little bit getting used to. And the clutch grab is different than what I'm used to. I had an Accord that was a manual and a Wrangler, and you always kind of knew where their clutch pickup points were at, and this is just a little different, takes some getting used to. But that first to second gear is, I don't know why they can't engineer that out of there. It's just too much. The revs hang up, and then you go to second. If you don't hold a second before you let off the gas, you will get that jolting motion. The other thing about the average is no fault of its own. It takes premium fuel, which fuel's really cheap right now, but you got to factor that in. You're going to pay 50 to 60 cents more a gallon for fuel over regular unleaded. We're lucky in Ohio that we get 93 octane at most every gas station, so that does help. And that's the big average things that I would just say that are generally average about the whole car. It's not on the Subaru Global platform, so it is a little windy. If you've ever rode in their newer vehicles, a new Forester or an Ascent or a Crosstrek or anything like that, it's so much quieter and so much stiffer on their new global platform. And the WRX is not on that yet. It's supposed to be here soon, but it is not on that yet. So that's really it for the average. Summer tires, we live in Ohio, so we do get some decent winters and some ice and colder weather, so you will have to put some type of different tires on here. These tires that are on here are performance summer tires, which I don't believe are recommended below 40 degrees, so at some point I'll have to get new tires and rims, just something cheap for the winter. But then if you do that, you're also going to get longevity of your tires because you're using 2 different sets, and you put winter tires on this thing is probably a beast in the snow. You could probably do just about whatever you wanted with it, but that is an expense. You're probably going to spend $1,000, especially if you get rims and tires, as you get into the fall and winter months. So now a few bad things. Now this is subjective, and may just be limited to my vehicle, but I have 3 things here. The first bad thing is the infotainment system. This isn't the top display, which is actually excellent, where it shows you, the boost gauge, and it shows you your miles per gallon and all kinds of different information there. But the standard infotainment system on this is garbage for 2020. Again, we own an Ascent, which is miles above, so much faster to respond. This is really slow, laggy. With Bluetooth, it kicks in and out all the time. I'm not really sure why. I don't have any issues on my other vehicles, even my Forester, which was 4 years older than this, had no issues, but this infotainment is not good. And it's a really small 7-inch screen, which, this is a budget-oriented, somewhat sporty vehicle. But for 2020, it's ridiculous. That's my only big complaint about the infotainment system. But the regular center stack gauge, where your speedometer and stuff is at, is great. The top screen where your boost is at and your miles per gallon and all that is great. But the standard infotainment system is not all that good. Another bad thing is, while I don't, really wind this thing out and get on it all the time, from about 4,500 to 6,500 RPMs, it really just falls flat on its face. So the peak torque is really down low. Once you start getting up in the 6,000 RPM, it still holds power, but it's not going to go any further down the line from there. It really just kind of falls flat, which is great driving around town, or if you're just, wanting to tool around. I don't really speed around town or drive excessively fast, so it works perfect for me. But if you're looking for something that just really just holds power like the STI all the way up to 6,500 RPM or the max RPM, this is not it. It really falls on its face about that 4,500 to 5,000 RPM. And the last bad thing is that every single junk beat up vehicle out there, it doesn't matter what it is going to try to race you. I've been tried to race by people in Pontiac Sunfires and just stuff, Dodge Neons with massive exhausts on them. It's annoying after a while. Not everyone does it, but you will get it every once in a while where you'll get, or some big truck will come up and try to race you or rev up its engine, which is kind of silly, I think, in this day and age. And that's really it. Another average thing would be that it doesn't have the Subaru Rumble, has ankle-length headers, so the STI is an excellent sounding vehicle. The exhaust on that, I think, is perfect stock. But on this, it's not all that loud. It doesn't have that rumble. It does sound nice, but it just isn't. It doesn't sound as aggressive as the STI, which sounded really. It was a good sounding vehicle. And that's it overall for the first 1,000 miles. I haven't had any issues. It's quiet, no rattles. My Forester had 1,000,000 rattles, so I was happy about that so far. But I'm enjoying driving it. It's finally at its break-in. I don't plan on driving it hard. Again, this is a around town vehicle for us. We have the Ascent for long trips. Would I recommend someone purchasing this? I would maybe wait until the 2021s come out to see if they put it on the Subaru global platform. But if you can get a good deal on this, they have good financing right now. So maybe a good time to jump in. If you're interested in me going over pricing and what I paid for it, leave a comment below. I can go over that. Or if you have any questions, concerns, or overall general comments, leave them below. I'll get back to you. I'll probably make a couple more videos on this as it goes. Maybe do an interior review, exterior review, and just update you guys how it goes. Again, if you have any questions, just leave them below and I'll get back to you. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.